More than 80% of Minnesotans want their kids getting comprehensive sexuality education in schools. And not only that, but the majority of parents think that their kids already are getting it. So they're not only think that people are getting it, they want their kids to get it, they think they're getting it, and they realize that it's very subjective at this point. Basically, sex education, what your school district teaches depends on what the school board decides. And it can be very individual. You could have one district doing one thing and another district doing an entirely different thing. So what we want to do is basically set up a standard sex education mandate that doesn't basically dictate the curriculum, but it dictates the principles that must be touched upon in the classroom when working with 7th through 12th graders on comprehensive sex education. These principles must be met. You know, education on contraception, education on abstinence, education on transmission of STIs and STDs, healthy relationships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure those standards are met, but the community has the ability to sort of pick and choose how they want to address those things. So for us, just to sort of recap, last year was a landmark year. We actually got the bill, the sex ed, through the House, and it got through the Senate, but it just got kicked out of the final education omnibus bill, which is sort of the final catch-all bill of all the education policy work. And it got kicked out at the end because the governor was getting a little bit too much flack from his right wing about this initiative. And so there was lots of, interplay between the conservatives in the House, et cetera, sort of saying to Tim Pawlenty, you've got to, we don't want you to sign this, got to take it out. Right now, we are in the position, and I think everybody here needs to think about how do we get this to the governor, and how do we get the governor's signature on this bill. But the signs are good in that this administration joined, I think at the time, about half a dozen states that turned away the federal abstinence-only money and said, we're not going to accept any more of the federal abstinence money, which is a big step for Minnesota. He didn't take any publicity. Many states sort of roll it out if they have pro-choice governors. They're like having press conferences and saying, we're turning away the money, aren't I great, But that didn't happen here. It was very much under the radar, but still it happened. And so I think the signs are good. It's not a fiat accompli, but it's something that we're working for, and I'm hoping that this is going to be the year it happens. The one good thing about this program in tight budget times is it really doesn't cost too much. It's a policy change. There needs to be some funding for some education and for some training, but other than that, this isn't an ongoing sort of funding dilemma for the state.